She would have given it to me anyway. A stranger stood up in the middle of a crowded bank and pointed straight at me. Sir, step away from her, he said, loud, calm, like he'd rehearsed it. That woman has dementia. She doesn't know what you're making her sign. My mother is 81. She has Alzheimer's. I'd brought her in to close a CD that was funding her memory care, something we did together, because I promised her, back when she could still make promises, that I'd never handle her money behind her back. The teller froze. The manager came over. The man kept going. Her name is Eleanor. She told me her son lives in Arizona and never visits. This man showed up out of nowhere a few months ago. I laughed because it was absurd. I'm her son. I've been her caregiver for 2 years. Then the manager leaned down and asked gently, Ma'am, do you know this man? My mother looked at me. Where's Walter? Walter is my dad. He died 3 years ago. Is this your son? The manager asked again. Mom's hand started shaking. He takes me places, she said. Not yes. Not my name. He takes me places. The stranger nodded like a doctor confirming a diagnosis. Security called the police. They put us in separate rooms. I could hear my mother through the wall, asking strangers where Walter was, getting more scared every time nobody answered. An officer asked me the same questions 4 times. Power of attorney. At home in a folder. Proof of guardianships at home. Anything on me besides an ID with a different last name than hers? No, I never changed my name, I told him. But she remarried after Dad died, so hers doesn't match mine either. Then the officer came back and said the words that dropped my stomach. This gentleman knows a lot about her. Her maiden name is Voss. She lived on Birchwood for 40 years. Her husband died of a heart attack. She had a little dog named Peanut. He paused. He says there's a scar on her right wrist from canning peaches. There is. I was 10 when it happened. I was in the kitchen. For one horrible minute, I doubted my entire life. Did my mother know this man? A detective arrived, ran his ID, and everything turned inside out. He'd been flagged in 2 states for elder fraud. Then the detective asked the question that put it all together. Before you took over her finances, were there withdrawals you couldn't explain? There were. Gift cards, wire transfers, almost $6,000. I'd blame the disease. It wasn't the disease. It was him. For 8 months, he'd called her nearly every day, pretending to be an old colleague of my dad. She was lonely and fading, and she told him everything. Birchwood, Peanut, the peaches. He didn't know her. He'd harvested her. When I moved her in with me and changed her number, his mark vanished. So we found her again. In his car, they found photos of her at her day program. A notebook of widows' names and a complaint he'd filed against me with Adult Protective Services the week before, calling himself a concerned family friend. The bank scene wasn't an outburst. It was a plan. Get the state between me and my mother, then slide back in as her advocate. As they walked him out in handcuffs, he looked right at me and said, she would have given it to me anyway. I stood up so he'd have to say it to a son, not a chair. They released us with apologies. He's now facing fraud and stalking charges. 2 other families have come forward since. A few nights later, Mom had a clear moment. That man at the bank, she said. He wasn't Walter's friend, was he? No, Mom. Good, she said. I never liked how he asked about money. She'd known. Some part of her had always known. Most days now, she doesn't remember the bank. Some days, she doesn't remember me. But every night she falls asleep holding my hand, and whether or not she can say my name, she knows exactly whose hand it is.